LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. An LDG desktop tuner works automatically with nearly any station up to 1,000 watts. LDG Zero Power tuners are ideal for portable or mobile use, as they consume almost no current and can be powered by internal batteries that last up to a year. LDG tuners are backed by our 2-year fully transferable warranty and our legendary customer service, the best in the industry. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Okay, let's be real. I've had a couple cocktails, and I was grooving to the music, and next thing you know, it disappeared. It disappeared. Hello and welcome to 100 Watts and a Wire. This is a podcast going back to 2015, and it is a study of life and amateur radio, and we take on all sorts of different topics. It's a topical conversation. And I don't know, man, my theme song was about to kick in. We had like a minute left, and next thing you know, boom. If you're happy if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. It was like the end of the show thing. They'll never see it. Doesn't matter. Episode 322 is featuring some of the difficulties we have in our shacks. So we're going to tackle some of that today. Hello, Steve. It's good to see you. How's things going out there in the West?
It's been a nice day today. Got into the upper 60s. So
What?
It was good. Yeah.
That's real good.
It's just a freak of nature, but this good deed will go punished. So
yeah.
Probably in the next couple of days we'll be back down cold.
Game time temperatures tonight here in the Heartland, 38 degrees, and we actually woke up to 41, and I've spent the whole Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and part of today moving piles of wood. Tree work needed to be done this year. We've got some big oak trees, the ones that hang the antennas, but some of them have also grown out over part of the house, so you do that work and get that off there so you don't have to build a new roof, that kind of deal. And I needed to move some wood piles to get that ready to split, got the wood ready, stacked, split up, and all that. Reverse that order. I got the wood, split it, then stacked it, and then delivered some because my girls love to have a fire. It's crazy. It's not the most efficient thing, but, that's why I asked you. I sent Steve a text yesterday about the pellet stove because I know you have a pellet stove, and I probably need to look into that at some point, but...
my last place I had the wood-burning stove, and go through the routine, split the wood, stack it, have it seasoned for a year, and go from there. In this shop, I just went with a pellet stove, and it's just take the bag, cut it open, dump it in, and away you go. Hit start and let it run.
I get satisfaction out of... Early on, I needed to get the splitter serviced. It just wouldn't turn over, and it had been sitting all through last year a lot. And so I was swinging an axe, and man, there's some good in that, and there's also
some frustration.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, and you're handling the wood so much that your body can start to wear down faster. But that splitter, that Briggs and Stratton on that splitter, man, it is a hoss. And it's like, what do you want to do? If you can get it up here, I'll split that son of a bitch. And it'll say that to you. It'll you get it up here, I'll split it. And we went at it this morning for a while again, and it just feels good. It's like I don't know. It's a good thing. It's a man thing, I think. It's just, it feels like you've split enough wood to get you through the winter, and then a little some. So that's kind of, and then I instantly I was walking like Fred Sanford. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, like my body was like, yeah, it's good to feel like a man, you dummy. But, Elizabeth, I'm coming to see you, honey. It was like that. But, so I could feel it. I get sorer faster each year, but it does feel good. Split it, stack it, brought it in. The girls are doing it now. again, it's not the most efficient way to heat your house. The doors are opening, but there's something about a fireplace, and this time of year is just, it's a necessity. It's a good thing. The holidays are coming and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Speaking of the holidays, Steve, we're giving away $1,000.
$1,000, yes.
$1,000 giveaway, and it's very easy to do. I'll give you a brief overview now because we've got about 86 entries so far. You can enter up to 4 times because we're going to do a drawing of $250 each week starting November 28th. And all you need to do is go to any place that you like to buy your ham radio products. There's many of them. DX Engineering, Gigaparts, R&L Electronics,
HRO.
HRO, of course, is probably the biggest. Go to any of these places, fill up your cart upwards to $250, and don't buy this stuff. Just take a screenshot of what you would buy if you had the dough. Okay? Your name's going to go into a big old pot, random drawing, and whatever is picked, we will pay for what was in your cart. No strings.
Well, the thing is, how do they get this list to you?
Very good. Man, you're on it. As I mentioned earlier, I had been drinking just a little bit. I'll put it up here. I didn't mean to take you off the screen here. Let me bring you back because I got another way to do it. That's a good point, Steve. What you do, take your screenshot and send it to my email address, Christian@100wattsandawire.com. Very simple. And add your shipping address. That way we know where to have this gear sent. And I think people are like, what's the catch? No catch. There's no catch. All you got to do is just got to go through the steps. Some people have gone over the 250 thing, and then it kind of forces us to edit, which is weird. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good stuff you can get for $250.
Oh, yeah. So keep it at 250 and below.
Yep.
And just do the screenshot, attach it to the email, send it off to Christian, and it's just simple. That's the only skin you have to put in the game.
It's so easy, and Steve has put in, it was 16 last week. He's trying to, it's like sidecar, and then it's like, his last name. I'm like, Steve.
I keep getting caught.
He's up to 20. Yeah, he's getting caught. Like, yeah, dude, God, you can't.
Dude.
But it's fun to see what's in the baskets. You know what I mean? Some people are going for the headsets. Well, last week we talked about microphones and the different options, and I'm seeing some headsets now. Not that we've driven that product, but it falls in line. It falls in place. Heil's got a product that's a $200 and some headset or whatever, and I'm seeing some of that as I go through. But other people are doing some of the smalls too, like cable assemblies or connectors, a little bit of coax. They're doing you'll like this because you had an idea for this week's or next week's question. I'll put it out tomorrow. For what's in your mobile. People are buying $200 or putting it in their cart, UHF VHF type of rigs for being mobile. So it's interesting to see how you're spending that in your cart. But November 28th, that's when we'll start to pick, and then we'll do one each week, and that'll lead up to Christmas. At that point, I won't have any more money, but that's okay. The kids are taken care of. I think the kids are already, they've already got their gifts. So Mama takes care of that early. She's one of those sorts. So speaking of questions, I put it on the screen. We for our podcast listeners, you can get the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Sunday nights, we record the show, but it's also live streamed. So if you're able to join us, you're near a computer, join in the fun. There's some folks there. We see Scotty in Maryland. Marty, I believe, is out on the West Coast in California. Virginia station stopped by today. So it's nice to see people. DJ's there. I think, where's DJ? He's up in Connecticut, I think.
Yep.
Temay, Oscar Hotel 7, Tango Echo Mike. I don't know if that's a full call sign. I think it's a lot of extra letters there. But I think he's actually Oscar Hotel 7 Tango. Temay. Where is he? Finland? Or Norway?
Oh, jeez.
Remember? He used to join us all the time. We also have Ishmael. Hello. He's Juliet 7-2. India. Mike Sierra. Good evening to you. I think he's in...
Dominica.
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 Yes. So worldwide,
Hey,
joining
Ishmael.
us and if you can be here in front of a computer, you're welcome to join us as we record this on.
And DJ
Sunday.
is making a comment about my attire tonight. And yes, we were in the high 60s today, DJ. And currently it's 62.6 degrees outside as we record this podcast. So yeah, still in the 60s.
38 degrees here at game time, but you're wearing a Hawaiian thing and you're going back. It came
Yes.
up at my dinner table tonight because do you know it's cheaper for us to fly to Hawaii or as cheap as flying to, like, say, Vegas or parts of California to Hawaii. And so it's like, and it's not cheap at all. I mean, I'm not making it sound like it's cheap, but I mean, if you're going to spend a couple grand to fly to, the
family
West
and
Coast,
stuff,
the
then you
family,
might as well go to Paradise and
wow.
where it's nice and warm and it's kid friendly.
we've been looking at, Hawaii's been on the list for a long time, and you gave recommendations. I know you're going back there next month. My kids are hot to go. They want to go to, like, France. My wife has been there with her studies and that sort of thing. I've never been there myself, but they've got COVID. COVID's up there now. They're like 10,000 cases a day right now, so it's a little tough. My kids just got their first vaccination, and that's everything. The whole thing, not to open a can of worms with vaccinations. I know people do what you want to do, but I got kids who are 7 and 11, and I need to make good choices for them. So Paris is just like, it's one of those things. I don't know if we'll get there, but that's a lot more money. We're looking at these options, and I'm like, Steve's going back. And she's like, it could be because airfare is just, it's better. Like, you can get there cheaper. Anyway, now it's just a travel channel. Welcome to it. But this is the intersection of life and ham radio, so you got to get a little life in there too. What were you going to say about going back? What is this twice in 1 year thing?
Just a fluke. This trip is unique because it's my wife, K7 UDI, who happens to have her ticket. It's her and myself, 25th wedding anniversary, and our anniversary is on December 28th.
Oh, good for you!
We're
Wow.
going to be in the islands, and on her bucket list is she wants to go whale watching, and the whales migrate in the wintertime. So we take care of two things in one trip. So
Beautiful.
it worked out. We're going to Kauai, so we won't be going to Maui, but we'll be on in the Garden Island.
To join the 100 watts in a wire.
Stop that nonsense. I got to stop hitting that button. It's twice with that button. Let me just tell you, I had a couple of what they call the screwdrivers. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, you should have one of these. Then you'll be.
I don't know. It was one of those things I like Yingling, or they go with the other thing. I'm like, let's try the vodka tonight. That Polish, they got the Polish potatoes in there. Let's do that. Next thing you know, I keep hitting the button. Sorry about that.
The button. So
The end button. It's like,
Yep.
and everything blows up. Like, good grief.
enough of that Hawaii talk, Steve.
So you got
Let's get on with the
26
show.
years in. You're going to watch the whales, and you're going back
25 years.
around
Yep,
Christmas,
they'd be
or
at
is it the end of Christmas week? What was it? It's next month,
Well,
right?
we're going to be leaving the 22nd and coming back the 30th, and our anniversary is on the 28th.
So through Christmas.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not even.
All right.
We're not even putting up a Christmas tree here at home. Yeah, the kids are. Everybody's all like, "Ah, that's cool. Go, go, go." We might put up some, decorations in the family room and stuff like that. But for the most part, nope.
Our friend Scotty is laughing from Maryland. He is an engineer, audio engineer.
Have
He's
another
laughing
drink.
because I'm
Yep.
pushing. But yeah, I got to stop the drink. I got to stop. Okay, if you insist.
Okay.
There was a question. There was a question that came in. I'll answer that now because we are live on Sundays. And you're welcome to join us anytime you're near a computer. Sam, you can enter up to 4 times for the 1K drawing. Only your call sign could win 1 time. So, you know what I mean? Put 4 entries in if you like. That's cool. You can do that. If you were to win once, that would be it for you. You'd be done.
Yep. No hat tricks. No clean.
No hat
sweeps.
tricks.
That's
That would be crazy. That'd be it. There was another question too, but you can enter up to 4 times because there's 4 weeks
Oh.
And what we're going to do is take what you put in your cart and buy it and send it to you. It's not going to come to me or hang out here. Steve's not going to unbox it and make a video out of it. And, it's just...
Well, Sam had a question on can he change his entry? Well, you can have 4 different entries.
Yeah, get another one.
Works.
I would make them different. Make them different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put 4 of the same in. Let's see what else you would do. What else would you do?
Mix it up.
Mix it up, man.
There you go, Sam.
That's what Sidecar Steve is doing. 27 entries coming out of Washington State. I'm like, that's a little weird.
And 27 different items.
Yeah, 27 different lists.
Yep.
Good for you. So we did have a question this week. We were going to talk about challenges. You wanted to put the idea out there of shack challenges. And
yeah, it was more of the your design, your layout, more so, but it kind of morphed into other issues. But that was the ultimate goal was your challenges of laying your shack out based on what you have, whether it's a small room, a large room, or wherever mama relegated you to put your shack as your garage, a spare bedroom, or whatever. What challenges did you run into? And that was kind of, but it's like everything else. People have different reactions, and so it's always good to see what people overcame and are overcoming currently with their shacks.
But before that, let me hit the end of the show button.
To join the 100 watts in a wire.
Okay, great.
There
Just
we go.
want to make
So I
sure
got it out of the
everybody.
way.
We got that. Speaking of hat tricks, let's do it 3 times like Candyman. So you've been doing this for over 40 years. So I guess the challenge is, at least in your current home, you kind of built that room that you're in now. You built the shelves and that sort of thing. Was there, I guess there was some trial and error as you got to this final destination. What are some of the things that you had an issue with?
It was just the ergonomics of it, the layout, and how I wanted to do it. And so there was a lot of that going on. I got down to one point where I laid out on graph paper the size of the room, the table size, and I cut out. I scaled it up and on a piece of paper. What do you do in the middle of winter and you got nothing else to do? And then just kind of move pieces around, and that worked out pretty good. And kind of got an idea, and then one way I wanted to go, I thought it was going to go, and then when I started assembling and getting everything done after the room was completed, it just took a total different turn, and all the planning just kind of went up out the door and went a different route, and kind of this is the way it is. Put together the shelving, and but it's in a way to where I can disassemble it fairly easily and rearrange things around. So it's just a constant flow and what I'm feeling at the time and what the rigs are. We're always changing rigs, and so that changes layouts and things like that. So, and for me, I'm right hand dominant, so everything kind of had to flow that way, and so it's been kind of fun. This is, I don't know how many iterations of shacks I've had over the years, but in 40 years there's been quite a few.
Now, in your current situation, I can tell that you built that rack behind you to have the Collins. So if you're lucky enough now, or go back as you're listening to this, you can go back to the YouTube channel and see this. But behind Steve in his shack is the Collins line, and you got that from your father-in-law who passed in recent years.
The S line, which is down at the bottom. Oh, shoot, let me get into a position
where... That's okay.
So.
Well, I can see how you built that in there. You built that for that, right?
Yeah.
Is it ready to operate? Like if you switched it over, could you go sit there and operate that too? Has that been part of your design?
I'd have to move some cables around and then go from there. So originally that was position number 2, and it turned out to be that things have changed because now I got 2 radios here. Right. So we have the 101 there, and then the 3000 here, and so position 1, position 2 on the antenna switch. So that kind of changed. So now do I change the antenna switch and go by a 4x8 and then incorporate those other two, because there's the S line on the bottom and the KWM2 on top. So
Damn, they're beautiful.
That's the antenna, a 4x8 switch is $1,200. So it's a few coconuts for that.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of coconuts, you're going to need coconuts for when you go to Hawaii. But yeah, you know, for me, this is kind of like my HF shack. It's been there. The lighting and things have come along since we started the channel, and you know, and I wanted to have a set. You know, I don't sit around during the day here with my lights, and you know, I'm Jimi Hendrix with the fire, and you know, okay, sometimes on Tuesdays I do. But you know, so for me, it was kind of, let me see if I can show you here. You can't get a great look at it, but this is the business end of my shack. And to the left of what you're seeing there, the Chris Farley magnet, who is my hero, comic hero. They have the Drake TR7 is in a rack, just like the one that you see here. And then I went with, you know, under my on-air sign, I went with the kind of 4U gator case, rack 'em up, because I just like racks. And it helps me with my cable management, but also the black rack there with the 7610, which is behind me, it's on wheels. So I can roll this out much like a broadcast station would be able to, and I can get behind there. I can clean if I need to. But I didn't just land here, you know what I mean? I had several different looks, and it was all right here, but you know, the simple things like the pass-through, Steve, like the MFJ pass-through, and if you've got the right thing, you can make your own piece of wood to stick between your, you know, but just getting the cables in was a deal, you know, like how am I going to do that? You know, I was so new to HF, I didn't know what, you know, and MFJ, they just make everything, and they got one, you know, you could just do that, or drill a hole in some wood, figure out how to put it in your window so they come in that way. You know, and I just think the operating position is always kind of, it's unique to everybody. You know, like when you work, you're facing your radio. For me, when I'm working, I can turn and face my radio. But like tonight, after the show goes off, I'll be sitting here, and I can sit here with my push to talk. I'll bring my microphone in. I don't really have to mess. I can reach my rig. Everything's within. So I guess I'm really trying to say everybody's unique in how they want to operate. Some people are super simplistic; they just want a very simple desk, small rig,
and they only have a few items, so they don't have a lot of stuff,
right?
Where like I got back here, and that so you know, some can say, hey, that's pretty, you know, it's all cluttered up and everything, but you know, and then we have our PCs and. In for our logging and some of my automation, which is that's how I control my antenna switches, through the computer, and so it's it kind of adds up. There's the SDR receiver for the PAN adapter, and so
yeah, Mark in Maryland, another Marylander, my home state, born and raised in Baltimore. Mark says that you got some Heil product placement there. I'd like to see some of that cash. We're going to call Bob. Dear Bob, please send money. Stop writing me. Oops. Yeah, so we ask a question each week and try to get people involved in the answers. And just to show you that the guys are working 7 o'clock Central Time, we actually do have a net that rolls out here. So if you're driving down the road listening to this, sometime during the week. On Sundays, we have a live net, the 100 watts in a wire Sunday evening net. We're running some digital things right now. You see Don below, and N2HYG. Uncle Paul just put up his 160 antenna today. He said his arthritis is hurting him a little bit because it's so cold out there, but he wanted to get the 160 up. And he's working on getting the 80 meter. I think he said a double bazooka. I'm not positive about that. But For if you're watching now in real time, 7219, 7218 actually.
18, yes.
And his signal is 20 over. Let's give a listen.
Cab, and that's what I usually run as my mobile, and then I'll wind up taking it out of the mobile when I'm to work wherever we are, and that's when I put up the tripod in the bed of the truck. But I've worked so many countries doing it that pretty well situated. And the only problem I have is with the Aegis 120 is that it asks for a good ground.
Wow, okay.
And sometimes
That's ridiculous.
I have to carry a can of
S2
deoxit
to
along
here,
with me
so
just to make
the
sure
band is
that
just
the ground is
coast to coast
working.
bit.
But anyway,
Bouncing off up to 20 over here. But it's happening now. If you're near your radio or near the computer, all good. Let's check in, Steve, now and see what some of the people say. We put a post up. I try to do it on Mondays to give people enough time on our social media. And we have a Facebook group. And we also have a Discord group now, just in case Zucky loses his mind, which is quite possible, And we'll go through these a little bit. The top 17 answers are on the board. We talked a little bit about this, Steve. I have not read any of these, but Patrick chimed in quickly. He said the lot of my house sits on is 25 feet wide, north to south, 95 deep, east to west. I have a small electrical substation for a neighbor, not a ton of room for a decent antenna. I get by with an NFET half-wave 80 through 10 and a G5RV and an inverted V, both in the wrong orientation, but it works well enough. Running an ICOM 7300 Heil ProSet IC and an LDG 100 tuner. So here we go, Steve. Here's the first case now, and we can talk a little bit about spatial issues. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, that's the tough one. I remember living on a city lot and trying to, getting 20 meter, 15 meter antennas really easy. Start dealing with 40 is kind of doable. When you start getting down to the lower bands, it gets really doable, and that's where you have to kind of get creative. And so in Patrick's case, and then you got the sub that's nearby, so that creates some challenges because substations aren't the cleanest when it comes to RF spectrum. They do have a tendency to create some noise, and it creates havoc. And we've had some of our, my employer's subs where we tore up our 220 radio system, and to the point to where we had to spend a lot of time trying to troubleshoot and find where the problem was, but it made a site completely useless. And so that's a challenge there. But lot size is really, really tough, and 25 feet wide is like, wow, that's pretty narrow.
Yeah, it is.
And so it's, but Patrick, he adapted, overcame, and I was kind of curious on what's the wrong orientation on the inverted V, but yeah, it seems to be working for him for the time being. It might not be the most ideal or optimized operation, but it's something. It's better than nothing.
Let me tell you a quick little story about interviewing K3LR several years ago, and everybody knows that if you drive through a certain point, I don't know if it's a Pennsylvania-Ohio border. I've never been past, but I know K3LR has many towers. It's a probably multi-million-dollar contest station. I don't know all the facts, but I know this man's been doing it for a long time, and he's serious business. Okay, so he's in the contest world. However, he wasn't always there. And we talked about antennas like an inverted L, and he told me a story about when he had his inverted L on 160. and the wire bent down, it bent around, it hung down in one part. It was just not so. It was what it had to be for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I did fine. You know what I mean? Like, for getting on, working. It's not the contest station he dreamed of and ultimately put up. But in his early going, he didn't have the space, and he did the L up, and he did it over, and it had to bend around a little bit. It may have zigged.
Here, and it just,
yeah. So the moral of that story is, I think you just got to do what you can do and try it. You know, there's no right or wrong. Just try it. I mean, maybe there's better, but
and you'll be amazed how well it performs. And it might not look like, you know, you open up the antenna book and this is the way it's supposed to lay out. But you kind of do these dog legs, this and that, and it ends up working out just perfect. And so just put it up and run with what you brung, is the old drag racer motto. But you'll do fine, and it's the challenges.
Another tidbit. K9EID, Bob Heil told me years ago when I was first putting up antennas, he was like, you worry too much. Just put it up. Just put it up, you know. And it was because I had so many questions. I was like, but what if, but what if, but what if, you know. And I was curious about these bends, and it touches the tree, and what do the leaves do, and, you know, all these kinds of things. And he said, you worry too much. Just put the damn thing up.
Don't overthink it. We have a tendency to do that. We all do.
I still shoot for the best I can get, you know. If I've been known to clear out some bush honeysuckle to get it up out of the way so I can get through and put something up in a little better way, because it's invasive anyway, you know what I mean? I'm not taking down big, great trees, but I used to worry a little bit more than I do today. But, I'm getting old, so what are you going to do? James, I know James, I believe, is in New York, N2ADV. I live in the country and have acres of land, so no real challenges other than wind. A breeze up on the hill where I live is easily 45 to 50 miles an hour, and just about any support I can put up and get taken down by the wind. Eventually, I'll put up a tower once the kids have moved out. So he's got enough land, but wind is his challenge. So I guess be careful what you wish for here, Steve. I mean, you're in this situation too. You've got some land, you've got towers, a little different. But I first learned the word galloped, an antenna galloped through you. Talk about that a little bit. Wind.
That was a so my father-in-law was really big into the cage dipoles. And what's a cage dipole? It's basically a 3-wire on a triangle, so each wire is separated by 6 inches. So you got the horizontal and then you got the angle, so it was 6 inches on each side. It was a plastic triangle that as a separator that separated the wires. And so what's the benefit of it? It essentially gives you a broadband antenna. But you got 3 times the wire. You got all this plastic up there, these spacers, which just add more wind resistance, and a lot of places we got a lot of wind, and especially here, it gets windy pretty good. And what would happen is the antenna would start galloping. And if you've ever seen that old video of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, when the wind was coming through the Tacoma Narrows, the bridge was going sideways and it was going up and down, and that's exactly what this antenna did. It just started galloping. You could just sit there and watch it just wiggle around in the wind, and eventually there was just wire fatigue, and it eventually came crashing down. I had an 80 and a 40 meter antennas, and they both came down pretty much about the same time. And that's when I built the double bazookas, and it's never been a problem since, because of it's just a single coax, and there's no galloping like I had before.
So people talk about having some property, and listening to me long enough, you know what the trees can do. As longer your wire gets, the more trees are in the neighborhood. And Steve's situation is not so much trees, but he's got that wind coming across there and across his tower. So that is a thing. Everybody, I think it's good to know that even if you've got the land, you could be dealing with something else.
We have different challenges versus, someone with not as much land.
Bob says, here's somebody who didn't have the land. He went from a regular house where even in an HOA, I had a 4 HF and a 1 UHF VHF antenna hidden in plain sight.
Nice.
He went to a 2-bedroom apartment. His shack is much smaller, as I have his TS 590S set up, and the only antenna is a 41-foot strung around the ceiling. Hold on, I got to open this up here. I got to open that up on the Facebook. And it's terminated into a homebrew 9-to-1 transformer, but it works. I've worked Segal sideband DX into Europe, Russia, South America, and Japan. So all is not lost here. And
not all is lost. That's what's the cool part. It's just antennas in the attic, or even just run around the ceiling in your room if you're now. I don't know if that'd be XYL friendly, but if even stringing a wire around underneath the eaves of your house is you'll get out and you'll work. I'm still amazed. A couple of years ago, working these guys were on 75 meters. They were down in Arizona, New Mexico, and HOA areas. They put their antenna at the top of a wooden fence, a dipole, full-size dipole. They just ran it along the fence line. They just ran the coax, dug it underneath. It came up one of the posts, put the center insulator there, and then just kind of stapled it, or had those electrical fence standoffs that you get at the home and ranch store. That's used for electric fence to keep your critters in, and they just strung that all the way around at the top of a 5-foot fence, and they were making contacts and having fun and enjoying the hobby. Now, was it like K3LR style enjoyment? No, but they were enjoying it in their own way, and they had beautiful signals up into the Northwest, and they were, like I said, they were down in New Mexico and Arizona and on 75, so it was like, wow. Just
remember, K3LR wasn't always K3LR as we know it. If you're just getting in the game within the last 10 years or so, kind of my situation, and you knew K3LR and you hear that contestation and it's a big deal, wasn't always that way. And I'll never get there, Steve. I'll never get to where he is. I mean, that's not my ambition, but I couldn't do that anyway. But it's nice to know that he just didn't pop out of a box. He had to deal with some adversity, so that's pretty cool.
And a lot of these guys that have big contest stations, and Tim's only one of them, right. One of many, and they have gone through the trials and tribulations like the rest of us have, and they just overcame them in their way, and so we have it our way.
Stay tuned. At the top of the hour, you may want to take the chance now to go ahead and open up another browser if you're with us in real time. Steve and I will be doing the post-show air check where we take your calls on the air. The net handoff will happen. We will be on 7218. Somebody's getting QRM'd right now, or somebody's tuning up to talk to Uncle Paul. So let's go through some of these quickly as we can, as we'll set up to take your calls
over there on the right-hand side.
I do like that too. That's RE. RE saying, that's RE. I live in a small 2-bedroom apartment where the floor is 4 feet below ground level. A sliding window made it easy to put a pass-through for the coax, but as the room is shared between storage, a small work area, and my shack, I crammed small homemade L-shaped desk and shelves into a 4.5-foot by 4-foot area. So he's got another small area that he's working with, super tight. But he's got his workbench here. He's got a small, like we mentioned here earlier in this show, very small working operating desk. He's got a tool right next to it. So making the most out of their space. And he's got some also a room for his wife's tropical plants.
I'm kind of curious on how the grow lights are affecting the operation. I know some grow lights are not RF friendly. They create some challenges.
Sounds terrible to me. But if it works, hey. I guess it's Mikey. His only challenge was when he relocated the mast, was getting it back up. Originally, the tower was 30 feet, and then he added 14 more feet. Didn't use a boom or lift, just me. And he had a friend there to help him do that.
They lost control.
Lost control of it once and broke the 2 meter and 70 centimeter vertical in the process. Man, I tell you, Steve, you got to have a buddy when you're messing around with these things. Even this, what he's got going on here, and you can watch the playback to see it. But when I had the old hex beam up, man, bringing it down, or just even like a 2 meter, 440 on a push-up mast, you know, if you're trying to deal with that outside of the, you know, the holder, the mount, man, I'm not even going to say what I've done in the past, but I feel his pain. Oh, yeah.
We've all been there.
I've bent a couple of things for sure. I will say that I did bend a couple of things.
You probably see it quite a bit on field days and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Kenneth, we downsized from a 2,100-foot square colonial home 3 years ago, where I had lots of room in the basement for my shack and miscellaneous radio stuff I had accumulated over many years, but we struggled with 2 flights of stairs every day. Let me open this up here. So we found a ranch-style 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. It was perfect for our needs. I downsized the stuff to his FT857D. That's a nice small radio. The FTM7250, small tuner and power supply. Stuffed it into a room on a roll-top desk and in the corner of the dining room. So some of the challenges and the themes here, and I haven't read through these yet, but as we go, it's going into that sort of apartment living, going into a smaller situation. And as many of the amateur radio operators that we know today are aging up, aging out, something to think about, but to know that it can be done. There's options here. And I encourage you, if we don't get through all of these tonight, go to the 100 Watts and a Wire Facebook group, and you can see these posts. Each week we put out a question and see what's going and what's working for you guys.
And with a lot of, really compact and full-featured radios, it makes it great for situations like that where they just into a roll-top desk, which is perfect, because then you just close it up. It's the radio's out of sight, out of mind. It makes the rest of the family happy. They don't have to see it, and then when it's time to operate, you just kind of lift the lid and away you go. And so it's another challenge is going from a place where you have lots of room down to into a small environment. Could I take this setup into a small apartment? No.
Yeah, and what would you give up? Chuck here, he's moved into an apartment, and he says all of his activity now on HF is portable. I totally see that. I could totally see that happening. If you're able to get out and operate, perfect, man. It's killer. That's a good, solution to get back out, go out and do it.
And mobile and operate mobile. And there's, I've chatted with guys over the years that they were sitting out in their driveway, and that's the only way they can get on HF is just work from the mobile. So that's another option.
Feeling for our friend Scott here. He's trying to rebuild after a house fire. He lost about $4,000 in radio stuff. Boo insurance. I guess he wasn't reimbursed for that. That's tricky. That's an interesting topic. We should maybe dive into it at some point. It's kind of heavy and maybe complicated too, depending on what we're talking about. Rebuilding in a camp trailer. I share with 3 others with no budget, down to needing a tuner and to physically mount everything. We'll have 2 meters, 440 in HF, and soon to be HF digital. So, Scott, we're thinking about you, man. I know that's rough. Take your time and do what you can with what you have. That's all we can do. Brian, I believe he's a farmer. I haven't heard from him in a long time. He's he's either in South Dakota. I remember him running with us early, built a desk and made it from a bar stool. Made it at bar stool height.
Ooh, I like that.
I like
nice.
that too. It sounds good right away. It's in one corner of his man cave with a fireplace in a corner and a 106 projection TV next to it. Wait a minute. What kind of farm life is this? Damn, that sounds pretty good. Allows him to work
Nice.
DX TV screen. He can scroll through the DX spotting websites and have Ham Nation playing. KC0MY. What's the problem? What was your trouble? Damn it. Come on, man.
Wow, nice.
Miss
Very
hearing from
nice.
you, Brian. That's good. Matthias, we live in the boonies in rural northern Nevada. It's nice to have a lot of acreage, but little did we know in 2015 that we would get wind gusts. Here we go again, Steve. Up to 60 to 65 miles an hour and sustained winds of 25 to 35 miles an hour on a regular basis. So
Welcome to
Nevada,
Ellensburg.
welcome to it. These guys with the space. I mean, we all go, man, I wish I had that space. I wish we could do that. And the wind gets me. The wind definitely gets me. A couple more before we wrap up here. David says, my station is at the nav station of my boat. So there you go. ICOM 802 Marine Radio opened
Nice.
on the ham bands. Antenna is the backstay that supports the mast. Voice CW. There's no problem there. He's out on his boat. And wrap it up here with Scott. He's November Charlie 2, November United Delta, HOA. Limited antenna space, and hope to install a shortened doublet in the near future. There are some interesting stealthy antennas. That's probably another good topic for us to get into. But again, every scenario is different. Every HOA may be a little different, and we don't know.
Your layout of your your house or apartment, condo, whatever your abode there is. That's another factor. Whether you can have access to attic space is another thing. So it's, there's a lot there.
Couple more minutes. We did have a little bit from Discord. RF in the shack. Someone mentioned that they're dealing with RF in the shack, and I think that's a common problem. Another great topic that's a bit above out of my pay grade, as we say out there.
We've kind of talked about it, but yeah, it's keeping that common mode currents, as they call it, getting into the shack. So that's where having balance, the proper balance in your antennas, will help reduce that. Sometimes it will just be pure overload into the shack, and so there's ways to mitigate it, bypassing toroid coils. So yeah, every one of us, we deal with that, and just try to factor some of that in when you're making your installation.
I hope that helps you. It's always good to talk about it. We can take specifics, and at some point, we'll probably just take some calls. Steve and I can just take some calls on the air, and you can come in through the Discord and let us know what's going on where you are. But you can see the fellas still working there. There will be a handshake, as they say in the business. There'll be a handshake or a hand off. Steve will take the hand off here on 7218 at the top of the hour. Open another browser if you'd like to follow along on your computer. You can check out the live stream. And if you want to hear your signal and all that sort of stuff, you can check it out there. Okay, Steve, what did we miss? What did we miss tonight? Anything? We're giving away $1,000. Go to the website. Check that out.
Send the email to your address, Christian@100wattsandawire.com. We talked about some challenges we have in our shack layouts. I think we kind of covered it all for tonight.
I think so too. And we'll probably put a question out. Steve had another idea for a question to see what you guys are running in your mobile. So look for that in Discord and look for that on our Facebook group, and we'll share your answers next week, and we can talk about mobile setups, what we do for what we do, what works for us, and what works for you. I like this. I'm rapping. I've had a little bit of hit the close. Now's the time to hit the close. I can't find a damn button. I hit the close 3 times today early. Anyway, open up that thing. We're going to go do that browser and watch along if you'd like to. I hope you have a great week. Thanks for stopping by. We
Thanks
appreciate
for being here,
you.
everybody.
All the traditional things. If you find value in the program, you can give us a thumbs up. You can use the tip jar, which is the Buy Me the Coffee. We've got a sustaining member program that's still running, get you discounts. Check it out on the website. It's all there.
You can join us on the Facebook group and or Discord. So the Discord server, just look for 100 Watts and a Wire, and you'll find us there. We got a little under 300 so far in the Discord group. It seems to be a pretty active and a fun group of guys and gals. So if so inclined, please come and join us.
Take care of yourselves. Look out for each other. And by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise. We'll see you in real time over at the post-show air check. For our listeners, we'll catch you again next Sunday. 73, Steve.
7-3, Christian. Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye, all. Good night.
To join the 100 Watts and a Wire community, visit 100wattsandawire.com.